All right, so obviously we're going to talk about the crashy bits of this one. It did influence my race a little bit, but first things first, let's talk about the race as a whole. As you can see, it comes out friggin' hot. Now, my teammate Ansel is the one on the back of that little tiny move right there, and dude, I was already pedaling like 450, 460 right out the gates. I ain't gonna do that, especially if you've got like the U18 hour record holder who is sitting second in GC and a couple other people in that move. Dog, on GC number 1 to chase that back. Anyway, that brings me to some of the main points here. This is a Valley of the Sun stage race. Now, stage races, as most of you guys understand, are based on overall time. We don't really have myself or Ansel involved in the GC competition here. We're not really close enough to make up the amount of time that we would need to in a Criterium, unless maybe Ansel lapped. But he's sitting, I think, like 10th or 11th for the overall general classification, which, like I said, is based on time. That's after a time trial and a road race. Now, historically, though, we've been very successful at the Valley of the Sun Criterium, which is this stage, stage 3.
Oh, one guy's taking a flag coming right up the middle of the road.
All the way to the end! Let's go, Spencer!
All right, so that was footage from both this year in the category 2 field, where my boy Julian took down the field sprint for the dub, and then last year when Spencer was still riding for us, he took down the category 3 dub, and that was really kind of our first time working successfully as a team. So we're going for another stage win today. Ansel's idea was to hopefully get up the road with a late race move. He kind of did that in the road race the day before, and I controlled the field as much as I could, but the man got caught like 50 to 100 meters from the line or something. I do believe they were up the road like a minute and a half, which actually would have put him in a really good GC position, but nonetheless, didn't work out. So we're in a position today, during stage 3 in the Criterium, that we're going to be riding for a crit win. Now, coming out of this and coming into this, I felt pretty decent. My legs weren't terribly smoked considering the last 2 days. I did almost 300 watts in the TT in position, which was not a bad showing for me for the 22 whatever, minute effort. But yeah, I'm coming on to fitness now. I'm not in obviously like peak form. I kind of never am this early in the season, but we're getting there. I'm getting stronger every year when I do race this race, but nonetheless, I'm also getting a little bit smarter and typically a little more aggressive at the end of races and do a little bit better. Cornering in this race left something to be desired. I think that's just, part of Cat 3 fields, man. The line choice is just interesting. Instead of maintaining speed, a lot of the times people want to just set up weird for the corner and touch brakes, and instead of slotting into an empty gap in a corner and moving up and utilizing corners to do so, it just kind of never really works out that way. Most everything on this course is pedal through. You can see there are a couple chicanes. It's kind of a little bit of a figure 8 course with some good figure 8 action going on, but yeah, everything's pedal through. Even that one with the bump is pretty much pedal through. You can see my power never went under like 270 there. We were hitting it down this straight pretty hard all day long, but the problem is that somebody would get on the front, drill, attack through the start finish for a preem or whatever reason they felt attacking was necessary, and then everybody would kind of slow up into turn 1 here. Now, turn 1 was a messy one because it goes from this like 5-lane wide road, and it just swedges down really, really tight into a little left turn with like a right bend, and that's what you're seeing. Like, this is that section of course right now. So that spot just had people, nobody could figure out how to take it, and I don't understand why. It's, skinny up, understand that it's going to pinch you. You do not have room to be on the outside of that corner, and you will probably have to hop a curb and end up OB if you do take a crazy outside line there and try and cram yourself in and then get pinched. So knowing that, yeah, a lot of just, I don't know. I was trying to be really consistent and efficient with my line choice. I can typically keep my power profile flat, but good Lord, this was fast. We averaged 28.7 miles an hour in the Cat 3. It's a short crit, only 40 minutes. You guys know when stuff is short, like 40 minutes like that, things just stay hot the whole time. And obviously the GC contenders, all within a few seconds of each other, are going to be just throwing haymakers at each other and then trying to sort of keep things stitched up. So it was just attack chase all day long. There was tons of attacking and just going bonkers for any time gap preems, but my race was spent, I spent a lot of time just kind of back here pedaling through stuff. Maybe I could have kept things a little tighter. I couldn't really figure out the wind all day long, so it was just a watt fest, man. I think I did 260 or something average, but normalized like maybe 280. And for me, that's quite a bit, especially this early in the season. I think the most I've ever really normalized in a crit is probably like 310, 320. But when it did slow up before turn one like this, I would take that as an opportunity to just push my way up a few wheels. I didn't want to get too far to the front because, like I said, it was strung out up there and a lot of people were attacking. So I did want to maintain my draft and just kind of stay in this pocket as much as possible. So I was making the race harder on myself sitting towards the back, but you know, it is what it is. I kind of just did this the whole race. Nothing too significant really, in my opinion, went up the road. Ansel was maybe up the road a couple times, very briefly, but nothing crazy. So the real action happens towards the end of this race, obviously you guys saw, and that sort of influences my race pretty considerably, actually. So Ansel at the end of this race was planning on just getting us through the last two corners, ideally first and second, and then I was just hoping to sort of listen for the tires or the shifting and just launch. I didn't have a ton of watts left at the end of this, but you don't always need a ton of watts to win these sprints if you've got somebody in front of you. So I was hoping Ansel could be that dude, and I was hoping we could get organized, you know, with just like 2 to go. And so let's go ahead and jump ahead and see how this race plays out. So jumping ahead, we are about 30 minutes into the 40-minute Criterium, and I'm like, yo, it's move up time. We've got about 10 minutes left. I don't really want to have to just bury myself when lap cards come out, but my whole mission now is to just take advantage of opportunities when the peloton slows up. I want to just naturally drift towards the front and then just be a little more aggressive once I get up there to maintain position now. I don't want to get caught in the washing machine. And there are a lot of opportunities on this course when at least our field sits up, and it creates a really good opportunity to just move forward. So I was carrying momentum through the corners pretty well, especially through some of these chicanes. And when things would sort of die down after an aggressive chase, usually an aggressive, like, you know, general classification chase, so one GC rider chasing another one, that we would catch, button that up, the brake would die, and then this would happen. We would billow out, be all the way across the road. I was just trying to find lines that made sense where I could take advantage of opportunities to slot my way up. And here we are. Now I'm towards the front. So I went ahead and just like rolled with this rider. I wasn't really confident in my ability to like ride and hold the brake to the finish. I know they probably didn't care about us because we weren't really involved in the general classification for time, but at the same time, I wasn't gonna like roll this and then bury myself, especially with only like 10 minutes left in the race. So I stayed up here, chilled for a bit. I think he flicks me through here in a second after kind of drilling, and I'm just like, no can do, buckaroo. I'm just chilling. So I follow him over. I realize that this is gonna, you know, slow things up, but it's fine. I'm gonna let a few people get around me after turn one. I don't want to slow it down too awful much. I know I can do this effort with 10 minutes left in the race and I'll be able to recover, so I keep it at like 300 for, you know, 30 seconds to a minute. I will just go ahead and take the front so that I can take a nice, clean, smooth line through the corner, stretch things out there, slot over in the chicane, but then I'm like, all right, my turn is done. I'm getting off the front. So yeah, I let kind of that roll. Everything's still together, not too threatening. Some people are passing me here, but I'm gonna slot in kind of towards the front here and not lose too much position because like I said, there's only about 10 minutes left in the race and I wanna be involved. So kind of stay here until lap cards come out and then we'll see how sort of the real end of the race ends up shaking out. All right, so this is where the fun happens. There's 3 to go. We're about to be coming into 2 to go, and I've been maintaining my position pretty well. Things are definitely strung out now. Ansel comes up on my left, and he's like, yo, Dalton, get out of the wind. I had been eating a little bit of wind just to sort of maintain position here and there. You guys can see how strung out it is, a little bit single file here. This rider's pushing inside, dictating the line to the outside, but then he's letting a bunch of people underneath him, so I was like, gosh dang. So I'm trying to work my way back to Ansel's wheel here. We're honestly in a great position with 3 to go. You don't want to be too close to the front in this race. It's a long lap. It's like 1 mile long lap. So I'm pushing up on Ansel here. Things are slowing up, but I know I trust him to keep it quick and stay in the position that we need to be in. On the left though, those riders get tangled up and dude, all right, like we're gonna run this back because I like slam brakes. The bike is in front of me. And then the bike moves for like a quarter second to the left and I was like, all right, gotta pedal hard to get through this. Okay, so initially, like I said, boom, right here, I'm like on the brakes extremely hard. The bike was directly in front of me. I was like, all right, I'm basically, in my head, I was thinking, I'm going down, dude. Like, there's no chance I make it out of this alive. So that was with 3 to go. Coming into 2 laps to go, and I've always said this, like this is something I learned just a long time ago, man, even in like the cat 4 or 5 days. Dude, when you're like at the 2 to go point, it is like next to impossible to really gain a ton of position because people typically aren't gonna sit up and allow that to happen. The race is gonna probably be hard for the last 2 laps, so once you're in that like top 10 position, kind of how I was sitting on Ansel's wheel, like dude, it's just you have to stay there. I don't know, anything beyond that. So in my head always at the end of these races I'm like, dude, I have to stay here at all costs no matter what. Well, once I got like basically once I had to light up both brakes there and like lean back and like move right and then stomp pedals and like do a bunch of weird crap just to hopefully not, you know, eat pavement, I realized that I was kind of in my own head. I was like, dude, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish this race. Like, I just had to stomp pedals, blow my sprint to get back in it. It was just like way too much going on. And then I was just a little scared to take advantage of opportunities like that one right there, where I could have just slid like way up through that gap and then been like right at the back of the rider in pink, like 3 riders ahead. And coming into 1 to go, that would have been a huge move, but you can see I'm just not being aggressive anymore, and that's gonna end up probably costing me any chance at like a decent finish. Okay, so I'm definitely in the zone now of like, all right, last ditch effort. I have to do everything I can to move up, and I have to take advantage of this opportunity right here, coming into 1 to go to do so. Otherwise, 0 chance. So I see this opportunity. The rider on the left is kind of hammering to get himself up there. I want to stay in the draft here, but the peloton's kind of slowing down, and I'm, you know, low wattage here, but I'm like, dude, if I just like give it a little bit of gas here, I can move up. Thing is, I do that on the left and the whole peloton's moving up on the right also. So I'm sitting way too far back coming into 1 to go on a 1 mile course with like the GC leaders just absolutely turning themselves inside out to keep things fast and safe on the front. So I'm losing positions here. I'm letting this rider on my left sort of occupy the space. I should have not done that. I should have been up on the wheel that's directly in front of me. But like I said, my aggression is pretty much gone. And in my head, I was thinking, I guess, that I would just like make up space in corners because I was taking them a little bit faster than the group. But I wasn't really doing that either. So we get in this position where I'm on this rider's wheel. He sort of gets capped off in the corner. Now we're kind of dangling in like a weird way. But dude, I am like 2 corners away from the front of the bike race. So like the sprint's gone, dude. Like to make up this space, I would have to start sprinting right now. And I did not do that. You know, I'm doing 500 watts. Like there's a huge like 3-4 bike length gap to close in like the fastest section of the course. It just ain't gonna happen. So relying on this guy to tow me up there. You can see behind me there's like nobody in my rear cam. I am at the very back of the race, which to be honest, like dude, even if I'm like I end up with a bad finish, I'm not usually at like the very back of the whole bubble, you know. I'm still like kind of in the mix. So it was just miserable. Yeah, took that wide there. Probably should have just sprinted this section here too. And I tried to find a little bit of a draft and start galloping, but these dudes are already crossing like the intersection that then is like, what, 50 meters from the line. So I'm not gonna make up crazy positions here, especially doing 600 watts. Ansel, on the other hand, he was kind of up in the mix, so good work, my dude. Rode a hell of a race weekend. I don't even know where I came in here, just at the back of the pack. So DFL, baby. Yeah, crash influenced me, kind of took the dog out of me. Not that I really had much dog in me anyway. Like I said, this race was hard, so. I am just bad at bike racing lately. I don't know what's happening. To be fair, fitness has not been there. My head was in the game this day. The crash, you know, it influenced my race. It makes things hard, but if I had a bigger base, I would be recovering at 260, 270, and I would be able to, you know, stay in the stuff when things like that happen, which they inevitably do in bike races, so I should be prepared for these kinds of situations. Yeah, I think things will get better towards the end of the year. Congrats to Ansel on his 9th overall finish, and congrats to Julian for the huge Cat 2 Criterium dub. Sorry we weren't able to lead you out, my dude, but the train is going to be fresh in a couple weeks. So, all right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Drop me a like below if you want to see and track the rest of the race season. Subscribe to the channel. I will see y'all again very, very soon. Say what's up in real life.